Hi friends, it's Em. I'm back. We are going to be reviewing all of August in my reading journal. Overall, August was a pretty good reading month. I'm not too mad at it. So I read 30 books. Also, this is a special reading edition because Stitch decided to join us today. But I read 30 books. Of those books, 37% had a BIPOC author, which, as far as I know, is an improvement over the previous months. It's still not 50% yet, but I am optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic. So I have a strategy for how I'm going to ensure that 50% of my books are BIPOC reads. And it's the simplest strategy ever. Get this. After I read a book by a white author, I make sure that the next one I read is by a BIPOC author. Mind-blowing. Now, what that really means is I'll still be, reading whatever I want. If I read a BIPOC author, I can still read a BIPOC author after that. There's nothing stopping me from that. The point is the intentionality in making sure that I am reading diversely, basically. Also, this month I read not one, but 2 physical books. Who's surprised? I know I was. I read 15 ebooks, 13 audiobooks, and 2 physical books. Now, admittedly, one of the physical books was One of Us is Next, One of Us is Back. I don't know, the last one in the Karen McManus series, which I read because the audio was just going too slow for me. I couldn't really get into it. And then the second one was The Brothers Hawthorne, which I got an early copy. And, I told absolutely no one my review until the 30th, right? And then we were in business. It was great. I really, really love that book. I need to do a series reread because I read the first one physically, the middle 2 on audio, and then the fourth one physically. But I'm very excited for the 5th one to come out. Also, a pro tip, I'm just gonna say this, if you're making a review spread like this, make sure you actually have all of the genres written down before you start counting them. Because I had to fix this twice because the numbers weren't adding up, because I was using Google Sheets and I was looking at the column stats, but the column stats only shows you the top 5. And I read more than 5 genres this month. I actually read 8 to 10 or something like that. Because I read a lit fic, a sci-fi, and a graphic novel, right? Which, whoa. But they weren't adding up, and so I kept having to add on to the bottom of the chart. So you see me add sci-fi there? Yeah, I still need to add lit fic. Because I'm in here and I'm going, this is adding up to 29. I read 30 books. But overall not bad in that regard. What's also somewhat astounding to me is that eventually we'll get to the NetGalley stats, but I read 25 NetGalley books this month. And you might be thinking, oh, well, you said you only read 15 ebooks. How did you get 25 NetGalleys then? Basically, I listened to the audio of some of the books that I had ebook versions of, because through various influencer or just publisher programs, you can easily get audiobooks ahead of publication. I really miss, if you were on Bookstagram back when Harper Audio was a thing, I miss Harper Audio so much. I'm listening to The Blonde Identity right now, which is from Harper Audio, and I am just loving it, loving it so much. Also, something I'm loving is this circle template, which I think I bought back in 2021 for a single spread because I wanted to make some circles, and I've been using it more this year than I think it's ever gotten used. Also, I was very pleasantly surprised with Stitch here. He was pretty open to me, playing with my pens and stuff near him. Siri usually goes right for the pen and tries to eat it, which is why she's not allowed on the desk. Stitch is usually more happy just to be on the desk and be with me than like eating my food or anything like that. Siri is a menace when it comes to food, if I'm being honest. I will say also that the my LGBT books this month were at 60%, I think. These pie charts are a little bit off. Mostly because I was doing some mental math and I was like, yeah. Like 12 is close to 10 and 10 is a third of 30. Apparently 12 out of 30 is 40% or something. I don't know. But I am satisfied with sort of the cohesive color scheme here. I would have used the little periwinkle one for one of these, except that it's only that color on the short end. For whatever reason, with this pen, the top end is more of the blue that you see me use in my September setup. So it's really great in the sense that you get two colors in one pen, but you don't get that thick tip in it. So there's that. So while I did read 25 Nagalai books, I did get approved for 20 or 21 of them. So my ratio is still doing pretty well. I'm at 92%. I think my goal before the new year is to maybe see if I can get it up to 95. That would be astounding, in my opinion. Problem is that, I'm one of the founders of the Joyful Chaos Book Club, and we get a fair amount of publisher widgets now for our members. And so I have to be really, really careful about like which widgets I take, because it's going to affect my ratio. But ultimately, it's about what books I want to read. I only have like 6 or so left to read in September, and I finished August. It was a little questionable at times whether or not I was going to finish, but I did have a really good reading month, and I think part of that is just because of some of the backlist titles that I read. So one of my favorites, I always mess up the title. I think it's the Very Secret Society for Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. And she has a new book coming out in April, I think. I think it's April. And it's just the coziest fantasy. Like in August, all I wanted to read were cozy fantasies. I read that. I read Bookshops and Bone Dust. Both of them, 5 stars, loved them. Peak cozy, peak fantasy, happy M. And then I was also sort of on a thriller kick too, so I was reading Shadowheart by Meg Gardner, which is the 4th book in her Unsub series. And when I say that the Unsub series got me through COVID, it legitimately did. Like, it got me back into reading, and then I was just like going through her books. It was amazing. I think there's going to be a 5th. I think the 5th is going to be the final, but she won't tell me. And then, apart from that, I feel like this month was just a bunch of weird books. Like, I read Shark Heart, which is about a guy who starts turning into a shark because of like a congenital genetic defect or something. It was bizarre. And like, unlike anything I've ever read. Like, that was my lit fic. And then I also really loved Bend Towards the Sun by Jen Devon, which is like a very steamy, slow burn romance about a botanist, which I don't know, I've never read a romance about a botanist before. And she has a new book coming out in 2024, which I'm very excited about. August. I'm already in September. I'm on track for an excellent reading month. So I hope that y'all will stick around, subscribe if you haven't, like this video if you liked it, and tell me what your favorite book of August was, because I could be reading it in September, and that would be adding to my fabulous reading month, honestly. Also, These little music notes that I'm adding are just so cute. And Stitch is so cute too. So, as always, happy planning.